This world is inhabited by creatures called Pokémon.
And that is literally everything we get. No further explanations, no deep dive of what they are. Because no one actually cares. I want my island turtle to hit the tank turtle with a hammer. Coated in friendship because it's hilarious. Pokémon entirely works on selling its world building as open and free for interpretation. So you create your own world and your own story. And so they don't actually have to deal with any of that. But if you want to write something set in this universe of unending possibilities, you will need a significant amount of world building sessions just to cover the most basic stuff. What are Pokémon? How do attacks work? Is Geodude really a dude?
Geodude.
How does inserting a disc into someone's head actually make them learn a move? Someone already went through the trouble to critically ask all these questions, but in German. Therefore, I decided to very loosely translate and expand upon a great series of essays by German author Flammenfeder called Welt der tausend Möglichkeiten, or in English,
World of a Thousand Possibilities.
But because this is a video and hers was an essay, it will deviate quite a lot from the source material. So give it a read if you can. Link in description below. Besides all of the general aspects of the Pokémon Nothing Burger, like typings, Pokeballs, etc., we're gonna dive into some more focused videos about specific Pokémon down the line. So make sure to subscribe if that's something you would like to catch, or write a comment if there's a topic you want to see covered in the video. Disclaimer though, this is not a self-help guide to write better stories. It will not explain why your God of War is completely fine, or why praising modern slavery, gambling and toxic positivity in a children's video game is having fascinating implications in regard to it being the highest grossing media franchise.
So, kids, who can tell me what a Pokémon is?
Well, Pokémon are called creatures, not things. So they must be alive somehow. Right? Given the lessons we typically had in biology, for something to count as being alive, it must check a small list of features. Metabolism, reproduction, movement, growth, irritability, death, and mutability. Okay, cool. Now let's see if that works in context.
These donuts are great!
Does Geodude have a metabolism? Well, that probably depends on interpretation. Is it literally a rock with arms, or an animal cosplaying a stone? Does it eat? Does it... If so, can its body expand if it eats too much? Ken Sugimori said himself that every Pokémon's feeding habits are decided before the final design is finished. Vital to the whole process even. It is assured that they know beforehand what a Pokémon actually eats, even if that's never explicitly stated in canon. That's a fun one to ponder for your average Pokémon Center situation. Legendary and genderless Pokémon cannot reproduce, although that too is open for interpretation, as it's more in the realm of game convenience. If legendaries would have ever been caught before, they would most likely not be legendary anymore due to how the word works. Now, breeding experts, that sounds very wrong, will already have thrown their popcorn at me shouting,
"Every Pokemon can reproduce via Ditto." You fucking...
True, but ultimately not valid unless we know for a fact that Ditto reproduces living matter in the biological way. But since we are not allowed inside the red light chambers of the Pokemon breeding facilities, we don't know for sure. Given the Dex entries, Ditto can rebuild its cellular structure however it pleases. So it's not entirely off the mark to just assume it will turn into a suitable partner and give birth to a bastard child, forsaken by its bloodline, for it isn't pure. Since Magnemite and the likes are not even possessing a biological form altogether and entirely rely on the man-made artifacts for their body structure, I will refer to them as artificial Pokemon. Thus, they do not breed, they are created.
I'm inside this guy!
How Ditto is able to reproduce solid matter, however, is a topic that would blow this video out of proportions. So let's just assume it clones them?
This is getting out of hand.
Pretty much every Pokemon moves to attack or, move. And I will go into hot take territory here and assume that even Pokemon like Metapod and Silcoon occasionally blink.
As the journey continues.
Growth is a whole different topic entirely, because Pokemon only grow when they evolve. But is that actually growth? And if it isn't, what is it instead? What's with Pokemon that don't actually evolve? If we apply simple biology, it's obviously stupid to assume Pokemon don't grow at all and just hatch in their full size. That is game convenience, because players don't want to sit through several months of teaching a pupper basic existence before they can go on a journey. However, small Pokemon that grow over time are still just fan-made and not canon, although nobody really cares for canon, let alone the creators, so take that as you will.
It's fair to just say that these are made-up monsters and there's no actual logic to it. 決まってないんじゃない。
That, however, is pretty easy, as every Pokemon has senses that react to trainers yelling commands or throwing stuff. Most Pokemon are able to feel something. Pain, in most cases. I'm not entirely certain how Steel or Ghost Pokemon would perceive pain or any kind of physical outside influence. Yet they are able to interact with their surroundings based on sensory perception, so still checks out. A kinda wonky topic in the Pokemon world. While graveyards exist, death itself is never explicitly seen in official Pokemon anime episodes of... Hey, this is me from the future. I lied. Pokemon did die. Quite a few actually, but like most of them not violently. And the manga is, well...
Read this.
I wish I'd never been born.
Then we also have ghost Pokemon. These are presumably not natural to begin with. Many dex entries point towards strong negative feelings, soul eating or being a jerk for the sole purpose of doing so. With the Marowak ghost from the first gen that's too... Yep. Too angry to die, Houndstone from Scarlet Violet that's too loyal to die, and Honedge that's just a sore loser.
Are you fucking kidding me?
We even got 3 different examples of Pokemon that refuse to stay dead. And then we also have Shedinja, which is the straight up animated corpse of a freshly evolved Nincada. Literally, but a fraction of its former self. Leaving a zombie that is almost indestructible. Except with super effective attacks, and yes, we get to that later. And well, this is one of the best examples of how Game Freak likes to hint at concepts such as death. They also immediately invalidate it, as Shedinja's ability suggests some wonky form of immortality. But all this opens up even more questions. So for now, we just check this box as well. Mutation is a mechanic in Dead Cells where... Wait, hold on, wrong game. Mutation is when cells deviate from their original purpose and decide to become their own master. As such, it is a dependency for evolution. The Pokédex, at least, states that Archylte is the predecessor to every known bird Pokémon. And no, bird and flying are 2 entirely different...
You raise a valid point, but I'm stubborn and refuse to adjust my position on the matter!
There is no solid proof for this theory, the art one, but we can just assume this to be true for now. A much more reasonable proof for mutations are IVs, or internal values, which is the Pokemon equivalent of
memes, the DNA of the soul.
IVs are passed down through the generations and can either far surpass or deeply disappoint their parents.
A picture-perfect fail.
So the DNA can evolve at least. In a second gen, there even was a chance to pass on the shiny status. Then we have Eevee, which has a gene pool so unstable it can evolve by accident when exposed to any strong influence for too long.
Please help me.
And Mewtwo, which, much like Eevee, is a genetic wonder bag, technically coming from the very source of Pokemon, but that's mostly due to human interference, so doesn't count. If we take what we know into a single conclusion, we see that not all Pokémon count as living creatures. Some have no metabolism, others can't naturally reproduce, and some probably can't even die. That strips quite a few of them of the technically alive badge. And when we accept the weird reality of games and anime, then there is no growth in Pokémon, only convenience, which would strip the entire species of the alive badge. Because in nature, everything grows, even stones. Now, you may ask where the Murkrow any of this relates to your story. And the answer is nowhere. Not yet, anyway, because this was only the setup. The beginning of this massive chonker of an essay collection. And for this chapter alone, I have 3 more pages of script that I will cover in the second video, in order to not make your brain. So if you liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe as to not miss the second part and all of the other videos about turning video game convenience into actual world building pieces. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next one.